Hey everyone, and welcome. Have you ever sat in the middle of a city and just felt overwhelmed? Like it's all just too big, too complex, too chaotic to ever really work right? Well, it turns out you're not wrong. The old ways we used to plan our cities are breaking down, but a brand new science is emerging that might just give us the tools we need. So let's dive in and see what that looks like.
Right? It's a question so many of us ask when we're stuck in traffic or looking at housing prices that seem totally insane. We see these huge problems, inequality, crumbling infrastructure, environmental threats, and they feel absolutely impossible to fix. And the reason isn't that people aren't trying. It's because there's a fundamental mismatch between how complex our cities have become and our human ability to actually comprehend them.
And this image, wow, it just perfectly captures the heart of the issue. There's a concept for this. It's called bounded rationality. All it really means is that even the most brilliant city planner in the world has cognitive limits. A city isn't like a simple machine. It's this incredibly dense web of interconnected systems. You change one thing over here, and it causes all these ripple effects over there that are just impossible for any one human mind to track. We've basically hit a wall.
And that wall has a name, the complexity ceiling. It's that point where our traditional, top-down, let's make a master plan way of doing things just stops working. The system we're trying to control has simply outgrown our old tools.
You see, this complexity isn't just one thing. It's actually three different dimensions all tangled up together. First, you've got the environmental complexity. That's all the city systems, like transport and housing, interacting in really unpredictable ways. Then there's cognitive complexity. That's our old friend bounded rationality again. And finally, you have governance complexity. Politics, competing interests, different city departments that don't talk to each other. It makes taking unified action almost impossible.
And this is not just some academic theory. This complexity ceiling is the reason we're stuck spinning our wheels on what planners call wicked problems. Things like the housing crisis, inequality, and climate change that are all structurally connected to each other. It's why our infrastructure is creaking at the seams and why our cities can feel so fundamentally unfair. The old toolkit just can't fix this. So, what can?
Well, thankfully, we're at a real turning point. A completely new paradigm is emerging, and it's built by combining some incredibly powerful fields that can augment our own human intelligence. This gives us a way to see, understand, and shape our cities like never before.
And here it is. The solution is this powerful synthesis, this fusion of three pillars. First, urban science, which actually pulls from physics. Second, urban informatics, which gives us the ability to sense the city in real time. And third, urban AI, which provides us with predictive power and design simulation. Together, these three give us a way to finally break through that complexity ceiling.
So let's meet this new toolkit. And it's really important to get this. This isn't about replacing human planners with robots. It's about giving them superpowers by combining these three fields in a way that's pretty revolutionary. Now, what's so cool about this is how each pillar directly tackles a specific human limitation. Urban science gives us the fundamental rules for how cities grow and function, letting us see the big picture patterns we'd normally miss. Urban informatics gets us away from relying on census data that's 10 years old and gives us a live, real-time pulse of the city. And urban AI gives us the sheer computational muscle to predict future needs and explore thousands of potential design solutions. So let's break each of these down one by one. Okay, so our first pillar, urban science, comes from a really surprising place, statistical physics. The big idea here is to stop treating cities as just chaotic messes and start seeing them as complex systems that actually follow hidden universal laws. And one of the most mind-blowing discoveries to come out of this is something called urban scaling laws. Get this. As a city's population doubles, things like its economic output and its rate of innovation don't just double, they more than double. They grow super linearly. You get more bang for your buck. At the exact same time, the amount of infrastructure it needs, like roads and power lines, grows more slowly or sublinearly. It gets more efficient. So the big takeaway is that cities are fundamentally engines of increasing returns. Now, the second pillar, urban informatics, is what grounds all this amazing science in reality. You can think of it as the measurement engine. It's the eyes and the ears for this new kind of urban planner. The best metaphor for this is that it creates a digital nervous system for the entire city. It uses data from all the sensors in our world, from our phones, from satellites, and it gives planners a continuous, live pulse of urban life. This is a monumental shift. We're moving from making decisions based on old census data to having a dynamic, high-resolution awareness of what's happening right now.
And that brings us to our third and final pillar, urban AI. If urban science is the theory and informatics is the data, then AI is the engine that lets us make sense of it all and, crucially, turn it into action.
Urban AI does two incredible things for us. First, it offers predictive foresight. It lets us look into the future and see where problems like traffic jams or housing shortages are likely to pop up years from now. And second, it can generate and test thousands, even millions of different design solutions, exploring a whole universe of possibilities that would be absolutely impossible for any human team to consider just through trial and error.
So, when you put all this together, what does it actually mean for the job of planning a city? Well, it represents a really profound philosophical shift. It's about moving away from the idea of controlling a city and toward the idea of cultivating it.
This slide just nails the new mindsets. The old way of thinking was like a civil engineer. You build fixed objects from a rigid master plan, and you assume the world is pretty predictable. The new planner is much more like an urban gardener. A gardener doesn't have a master plan for the whole year. They tend to a living, complex system. They adapt their strategies as things change, and they manage unpredictability instead of trying to stamp it out.
And this really brings us to the ultimate goal here. The point isn't to create some all-knowing, automated city brain that makes all the decisions. The goal is to empower a new kind of professional, someone who can humbly and effectively tend, adapt, and cultivate a living system that is and must always be bigger than any one person can fully understand.
So this new science, it doesn't give us the tools for perfect control. It gives us the tools for wise stewardship. It allows us to finally work with the incredible complexity of our cities, not against it. Which leaves us with one last thought. What could your city become? More resilient, more equitable, more alive, if we started planning it like a garden?